Black women, boys, and girls' lives matter, part 2. A common sense patriot picking up where we left off on the issue of America's ever so valuable black women and children's lives mattering. So our injustice system refusing to do its job, taking and keeping criminals out of these neighborhoods, just adds to the very challenging problems so many single moms deal with in black communities. But once again, the systemic crime in those communities is a symptom, not the root of the problem. The base problem is the breakdown of the family unit, perpetuated by a bunch of assholians that seem to consider fathering as many babies as they can some sort of badge of accomplishment. Then we have the left trying to sell the folks on the insane idea that they're actually helping those lower income communities by being compassionate and not keeping the crooks in jail and off the street and away from the neighborhood boys and away from their post-pubescent girls. Well, come on, that sweet black guy only turned to crime as a last resort because the white man keeps him down. Black, drug-dealing, gang-banging, whore-pimping, woman-abusing, baby-making thugs are only that way because of whitey. If it wasn't for the white man, they'd be fine, hard-working, upstanding citizens. If it weren't for the race war the white man fights against them and the black-hating cops wage against them, everything in America would be wonderful. Never mind that part about assholians making babies at a crazy rate and then leaving them and their mothers to deal with life on their own while the asshole slides on down the block to the next gal. Makes me sick. Ask yourself, what story would the left peddle to those communities if they were out of the crime storm, being sexually responsible, and prospering? How would the left peddle the whitey is your problem message if those communities were actually thriving, as they would be if they'd quit believing the liberal bullshit and realize they have a better shot at making something more for themselves and their families here in America than anywhere else on the planet? Why was Colin Powell able to rise to the top of his profession? How about Dr. Ben Carson? Denzel Washington has done quite well for himself. How could that happen? How could Condoleezza Rice do so well? Or Herman Cain? God rest his soul. What about Jackie Robinson, Janice Howroyd, or Oprah? How could so many black men and women do so well if it were impossible because white America won't let the black man or woman prosper here? Well, the answer is really quite simple. They didn't drink the Kool-Aid. They didn't listen to the left's message that they couldn't prosper in America because they were black. They chose instead to listen to the message that the American dream is real and accessible to anyone of any race who is willing to do the hard work of achieving success. They didn't listen to the liberal fantasy that they're entitled to a great lifestyle because they're Americans. They listened to the common sense message that being a kept pet on the government dole is no way to go through life, and that hard work and perseverance is the most realistic path to life success, and that buying Powerball and Mega Millions tickets is a poor financial plan. I am constantly hearing from liberals about the systemic problems white Americans cause black Americans. Seriously? The biggest systemic issue in our black American community is a group of black men, assholians, biologically fathering millions of kids, but not sticking around to actually do the difficult work of being a dad and a husband. That, my friends, is a systemic and self-perpetuating problem of greater magnitude than all other issues for our black American brothers and sisters combined. Yet the conversation on that particular issue seems to just magically disappear when any discussion about it arises. And it somehow morphs into the idea that racism and the white man is at fault. Here's some interesting data my research has uncovered. Statistically, 72% of black babies in America are born to single mothers. Solo moms are more than twice as likely to be black than white. A study of 130 countries shows the United States has the world's highest rate of children living in single-parent environments, and the vast majority of those single-parent homes are moms, not dads. And here's the most staggering statistic of all. 55% of cohabitating parents raising their kids together are white, compared to just 13% that are black moms and dads raising their kids together. All of those issues are personal choices, not forced outcomes because of the white man. Now, are there any racism issues in America? Yes, there are, as there are in most places around the globe. Can racism ever be eliminated by regulating or legislating it? No, it can't. Can we, the people, help our black brother and sister Americans by demanding that their communities be made safer by putting criminal assholes behind bars where they belong and keeping them there? Yes, we must do that. Can black lives in America be improved by moral and ethical standards being raised in those communities and by those citizens taking more personal responsibility for their actions, particularly as they pertain to procreation and parenting? Yes, they can. But as long as the can of the root problem keeps getting kicked down the road, and the liberal left keeps peddling the fantasy that this is all whitey's fault, and that racism can be legislated away, black American lives won't be improved. Keeping the focus on laying blame on a symptom, not the illness itself, means only that our black communities will continue to be enslaved to a political party that wants to keep them enslaved and enraged for its own selfish gain. If you're a lower income black American citizen, and you really believe Nancy Pelosi, or Chuck Schumer, or Maxine Waters, or Adam Schiff, Joe Biden, Cory Booker, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, or any of those privileged, elitist, wealthy, and powerful politician assholes really want you to have social and economic equality with them, then you really need to quit drinking the Kool-Aid and examine those folks who you believe are on your side a little more closely. They want socialism, pure and simple. Just take a moment to stop listening to the so-called news and what your Facebook friends are posting and what you see on the internet, and do just 15 minutes of research for yourself. What you'll find is that in a socialist governance and economic model, all the power and wealth resides with the political class, and the masses, the people, are enslaved to support the power and wealth and extravagant lifestyles of that political class. But if you refuse to take a few moments to educate yourself on this issue, then take 30 seconds to think about one thing you don't have to research. Are your Democratic governors and mayors and your city councilmen in Democratic-controlled states and cities, many of whom are black, and who are wearing $2,500 suits and smoking Cuban cigars and drinking expensive single malt scotch and living in luxury homes and being driven around by chauffeurs in limos and Lincoln Town cars, having any success in upgrading your lifestyles? The ghettos keep getting bigger. The poverty keeps getting worse. The crime keeps escalating. Yet your Democrat leadership's lifestyles remain extravagant. And they keep telling you it's the white man who is your problem. Think about that for a moment. Let that sink in. They're killing it, and you're not. But they keep telling you they're going to fix it for you. How many decades have you been listening to that? But it's getting worse, not better. How long will you listen before you ask those politicians you keep voting for some common sense questions? Questions like, why is my life just as hard as it's ever been, if not harder, but you live in a gated community with a nanny, a housekeeper, and a gardener? Why can you afford to send your kid to Harvard, and I can't afford to send mine to the grocery store for bread and milk? Why is your bank account growing and you just bought your second vacation home, but I'm struggling to make rent for me and my 5 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment? Is it sinking in yet? Is the fog clearing away yet? It is the very left that you think is on your side that is keeping you in poverty by keeping those criminal thugs on your streets and doing nothing to promote moral revival. Instead of telling you to be moral and ethical and get married and raise your families together, they keep telling you to get more abortions and that you deserve more welfare payments. They, on the other hand, those Democrat politicians you keep electing, are rolling in power and cash and luxury. Here's the cold hard facts. Kill the American dream by letting the left use you as cannon fodder in their quest for more power and wealth, and you'll lose. Kill the American dream, which allows you and your children and their children and their children the chance, let me repeat that, the chance, not the guarantee, to work hard to elevate themselves and their families to a better lifestyle, and you'll become a slave to the politicians. But far worse, your posterity will lose because you didn't defend their possibilities and potential. Your grandchildren's grandchildren will be stuck with no upside potential in their lives because you gave it away. And you gave it away because you didn't have much personal drive and were too concerned with wanting more free shit for yourself that you dismissed their futures as being less important than your present. You sentenced your great-grandson or great-granddaughter, who might have really achieved spectacular success, to anonymity and poverty because you wanted for yourself more of a share of what today's successful and driven folks produce. That's called socialism. And what a shame that would be. Please just take a moment to think for yourselves and decide for yourselves if you choose slavery or freedom. If you choose slavery, then all you have to do is nothing. And you'll get exactly what you've chosen, as will all of your family line that follow you. If you choose freedom, then get off your ass right now and go find a mirror. Look deeply into your own eyes and commit to yourself to taking personal responsibility for improving your life and protecting the opportunity for your posterity to rise to their own potential. And then make the personal choices from this moment forward to do exactly that. I'm a common sense patriot, and as always, Godspeed.